Welcome to Vlogmas day 24 and the last day of Vlogmas. Today we're just gonna be super chill. I'm in a sweatsuit. I'm just gonna chat with you about some of my favorite things of 2021. Hilariously, this could be one. It is a Honeywell air purifier, which I got in the summer because we were inundated with smoke most of the summer where I live in British Columbia, and now it has been awesome for cold and flu season as well. It just helps like purify the air, and when we have people over who have like allergies or asthma, they say that they really notice a difference. So I got it at London Drugs. Wasn't anticipating including it, but here you go. It was quite the year. I have a lot to be grateful for in 2021. Also, it was an incredibly tough year globally. And I know for many of you, we all had a go of it. We thought 2020 was it, and 2021 was like, nope, not done yet. So we made it through. Let's just start that off. We made it through 2021, and here's to 2022, right? Right? Okay, we're just gonna have a nice, fun, chill video today. I don't even have the things with me that I'm gonna talk about. I'll just insert some pictures if I can find them. Let's start with something I got for Christmas last year. I'm gonna try and just basically do new things because this would be redundant. If you've watched any of my like previous favorites videos, like my best of 2020, I probably still love all of those things. Just don't want to make it redundant. Anyway, I got my Apple Watch from the unicorn for Christmas last year, and I loved it so much that I bought it for him for Valentine's Day. There has not been a day that I have not worn this. This has been such a help for me for my movement. I like to have my rings, like this is what my watch screen looks like. I don't know, there you go. So it shows me like my movement, my exercise, my stand, the time, the weather, and my blood pressure. Those are the ones I like to have on my home face. And it's helped me so much. I like that you can have friends on your watch. So like when they work out, you can congratulate them. And when you work out, they can congratulate you. It's nice to have that bit of community, especially because all of my exercise is done alone in my basement. But it's definitely motivated me on days when I don't want to work out or I don't want to go for a walk, because there's something about wanting to close those rings or just see the activity. I love that I can get text messages to it. It actually, I find, helps me like not be on my phone as much, because I can just look and be like, no, I don't have to answer that, or same with calls. I love it. Nothing bad to say about it. I have the SE, which is now, you know, multiple models later, but it is so fantastic. And then another thing, I actually bought these for myself last year once I had been working out consistently, but it's the AirPods. It's another Apple product that I used every single day in 2021. Like maybe this is like my most used things. Every single day. I get up, I put them in, I start listening to an inspirational podcast or a book, and then I work out and I wear them. I wear them for calls. I love not having to hold the phone so that I can type or take notes, or I can like clean if I'm talking to a friend or water the plants or whatever. I like that if and when I'm walking alone, I could just have one in, because I like to be very aware of my surroundings, as should you. If that's the only takeaway from this video, please don't be out and about with two headphones in, just one, so that you can be aware things are happening. Yeah, so the AirPods and the watch for sure were very helpful. Along with that, this will come as no surprise, my Peloton bike, my overall exercise routine. I don't know where my mental health would be if I hadn't figured out how to work out in a way in which works for me and my family, because Thomas can be right there. He can be home, or they can be sleeping, or I can just quickly hop on the bike or quickly hop on the mat, or now the treadmill. It's so convenient. I've never been this consistent with exercise. I exercised 362 days in the last year. I gotta sneeze. I'm not a dainty sneezer. Is it coming? Anyway, I love it so much. I know I've already talked about it earlier in Vlogmas, but if you ever have any questions, it's so good. I love the community aspect of it. I love the convenience of it. I love the caliber of the classes and the instructors and the workouts and the variety of it. I have a good friend, Allison, and we have been each other's accountability buddies. That has made such a difference. We text each other every day with our workouts and like do challenges together. She's been a huge part of my 2021, as has that whole community. So definitely that's a big one, because I only got the bike in May. So that was a huge one for me. I don't know if you can hear that neighbor now shoveling. It's Canada. What are you gonna do? It's Christmas Eve. What else do I want to talk to you about? Let's talk about blush. I really got into the Glossier blushes this year. My niece actually recommended them to me because I found that powder blush just like falls off my face, especially with all the mask wearing. But these are a liquid blush and they're so pigmented. I barely use any product. Like if you looked at my tubes, you'd say I hadn't even used any of them, but I have really liked them. I've got two colors now, like a mauve and a more red one. They stay on so much better than a powdered blush, especially wearing masks. Another favorite of mine has been the Tartelette in Bloom palette. I think it was probably a favorite last year. I've hit pan on quite a few of the colors. That's been my go-to. I have been wearing more and more eyeshadow. It's hilarious that I'm not wearing any today, but I've been wearing way more eyeshadow than lip product just because like we're all wearing masks. So I've been wearing way more eyeshadow this year and loving it. A Sephora palette that I was given as a gift I loved this year. Just playing around with more eyeshadow, and my lipsticks have basically been gathering dust because I put them on and then if ever I'm out, I'm wearing a mask. It's like kind of irrelevant. Not a lot of things for like beauty this year, honestly. Like my favorite clothes were like the Joe Fresh biker shorts in black. I think I have 2 or 3 pairs of those. Some Old Navy jeans that I was wearing this year. Like if I'm wearing, you know, that was like my fancy, because I work from home, I go to school at home. Not a lot of like clothing items this year, unfortunately. Maybe in 2022, hopefully I'll see more fashion. Definitely in 2023, because then I will be like doing my practicum and out and about and actually be in my new profession. But I wore a lot of shorts and jeans and sweatsuits, and I enjoyed every day of it. I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't just mention driving in 2021. Every single day, without exception, at least one drive for Thomas. That is one of his absolute favorite things to do, and I find that it gives me a reprieve too. Often I'll listen to a podcast or an audiobook and he's happy. I can really like calm down. I don't know about you, but I find like I do a lot of good thinking in the car. That's when I like to be getting like educated or inspired by listening to something. Sometimes it's music and I just like to sing at the top of my lungs, and thankfully Thomas doesn't seem to complain too much. But more often than not, I really enjoy that. Don't underestimate the power of a good drive, even for like 20 or 30 minutes. And if you live in a place where you don't have a car, you could go for walks or whatever works for you, but just that like movement seems to really help. And speaking of walks, we went on a lot in 2021. That was a goal in 2020 to get Thomas to like going on walks, and we definitely succeeded. Yeah, lots of walking. I got a pair of Vessies. Those were my favorite shoes this year. They are a Vancouver brand and their runners are all waterproof and vegan and super comfortable. I actually bought myself a second pair for Black Friday, which I showed earlier in Vlogmas. But if you're looking for a really comfortable pair of shoes, I wouldn't work out in them personally, but you may be able to. Yeah, those were my favorite pair of shoes in 2020. 2021, I feel, anyone else feel like it's still 2020 or it's like 2019? It's all a blur. I'm not gonna mention any books because I did a whole video on the best books that I read this year, but I will talk about some podcasts actually. I still am loving the Armchair Expert podcast, but I discovered a few new ones this year. So on that one, they interviewed Samantha Bee, who somehow I'd never heard of her and I wasn't familiar with her. And then I just like fell in love with her. She's a Canadian and she hosts her own late night show, and she does like political satire and comedy. And so I binged her entire podcast after listening to that. It's a lot of American politics, but I love her style. I love her energy. I love her comedy. That brought me so much joy in the later part of 2021. I found myself not listening to a lot of the heavier podcasts that I had previously. In the chunk between like when I wasn't in college anymore and before I started university, like those 4 months, I listened to heavier stuff. But then with school, like I wasn't interested in watching heavy stuff, listening, reading, anything, because school is plenty on its own. I also discovered Maya McHale's Breakdown podcast. She was Amy Farrah Fowler on The Big Bang Theory, and she is I think she's a neurobiologist in real life, and she breaks down mental health and talks to lots of experts, and then also uses her background as a doctor. So interesting. I learned so much about mental health and therapy and all kinds of different things from her guests. And then on a totally like light-hearted side of podcasts, I enjoyed Smartless, which is Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett, the three of them. They bring on a guest once a week that the other two hosts don't know about, and then they just like chit chat. It's so lighthearted and enjoyable. That was a helpful one, because you know, sometimes you just don't need something heavy. Sometimes you just want to laugh or be entertained or learn. That's a good one. This is like the one thing I can actually show you because it's sitting right beside me. My favorite accessories of 2021 were the Lolin by A scrunchies. I have probably 5 or 6. The velvet ones are my favorite. Her shop is incredible, as is her Instagram. She has tons of jewelry as well. But every single day I used one of these without fail. Love these scrunchies. They're my absolute fave. Sleep was a big one for me this year. I finally just gave in and prioritized it. So that sometimes meant saying goodnight at 9:20 or 9:30 and just being okay with it, and really working on when I go through those seasons of life where I'm stressed and I find myself waking up a lot in the night. I worked very hard to not just get up for the day. Thomas definitely comes by it, honestly. I am someone who struggles with her sleep, but it was a real priority for me this year, and I'm so proud how many times I was able to go back asleep or quiet my mind, but it was intentional work. That was a big one for me this year. Also, speaking of intentional work, therapy was a favorite this year. Is it always? It always is. Therapy for sure. This isn't like a favorite, but it feels good to mention it here anyway. Something I really worked on in 2021, which I think I've talked about during Vlogmas, is boundaries, and also being comfortable with putting myself first and being okay with saying no to things, even if I thought people would be disappointed, or deciding to rest and relax instead of constantly having something on the go. That was a big one for me this year, and it paid off so well. Like, I never got sick. I stayed, like, my mental health did pretty well, even though I had some like bumps and bruises along the way. That's probably my biggest lesson that I'm taking out of this year, is setting boundaries and being like very precious with my own time and speaking up for myself, which doesn't always come naturally, but I'm really proud of the work that I've done. To end on a lighter note, let's talk about some of my television faves. We loved Ted Lasso. That was probably my new favorite show of the year. There's only 2 seasons, binged them so quickly, and then I rewatched both seasons. And then I even used a clip from Ted Lasso in a presentation that I had to do in one of my social work classes in university this semester. I've never seen mental health handled so well on TV as it is there. It's so funny and light and amazing. 10 out of 10 recommend that. Also, we went hard into The Big Bang Theory this year, watched it from start to finish, which I'd never done before. All 12 seasons, and then I continued to just like come back to it and come back to it, to have it on the background when I cook or when I'm trying to fall asleep or you name it. I just loved it so much this year. Those were my two like top TV favorites. We also watched Yellowstone, which I enjoyed. We also watched The Morning Show, which 10 out of 10 would recommend. We watched the entire series of Frasier, which was super fun because the unicorn had never seen it and he loved it as much as I do. So that was a definite win. It's on Crave, in case you're wondering. I think that's it for shows. So that brings me to the giveaway. Today, I want to give away this. Definitely goes along with like TV and stuff, but it also could go along with any sort of techie. This Fire TV stick in 4K. We have Fire sticks in every single one of our TVs. They basically make any TV a smart TV if it isn't already, or they also give you the ability to add whatever apps you want. So this one comes with like Netflix and Prime and YouTube and Disney Plus and all the things, but you can add to it. Like I think you could add, if you have like a workout app or whatever. That's today's giveaway. Just tell me some of your favorites of 2021. It's just that easy. We also take the Fire Stick with us whenever we go away. So anytime we stay in a hotel, the unicorn hooks it up and then we can watch like whatever TV we want to, which is amazing. All right, that's it for Vlogmas. That's it for my favorites of the year. Thanks for hanging out. 24 videos in 24 days is a feat. This is the 10th year I've done it, and I so am appreciative of you hanging out. If I don't see you before the end of this year, take care of yourselves. Remember, life's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You can do anything for 10 minutes. You're not in this alone. Anytime you need us, you can find us in the Facebook group. You can find me at Redhead Mare, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.